Welcome students. I hope you all are doing well. This video belongs to class 7 and the subject is moral science. Today I will be explaining chapter 2. The name of the chapter is Finding Contentment, the Ultimate Quest. Dear students, before getting into the story based on this particular chapter, let me explain you the concept behind it. First of all, what is the meaning of contentment? Contentment means to being happy and satisfied in the present situation or in present condition. Contentment is being happy and satisfied with the blessings and possessions one has. Wants and desires, whether material or physical, have no limits. One desires, when fulfilled, creates another, and the endless process repeats itself. It is a state of happiness and satisfaction. If it unfulfilled, unrealized desires cause discontentment and thereby unhappiness. If you do not find contentment in your own desires, you will be dissatisfied. So, do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Remember always that what you now have was once among the things you only hoped for. So my dear students, in the previous video you must have understood what the chapter and what the story is all about. Now let's begin the story behind it. Firstly, let's look into the characters of the stories. Rajan Mishra, Hema, Rajan's wife, Mrs. Verma, Mr. Verma, Anil, Hema's brother. Let's overview about the chapter, how it has all started. Rajan Mishra, the main character, had a good job, a nice loving family, and lived a comfortable life in a very small town. He had all that a man could reasonably ask for, and yet he was a greatly dissatisfied individual because he always craved for more of everything. The discontentment that simmered within him made him unhappy and irritable. Here, his dissatisfaction kept him so unhappy and he keeps on irritating on a few things. As he was very greatly dissatisfied person, so he always asked for more. Then immediately something happened which made him realize the value of his life, his family, and the futility of running after the mirage of desires. So this realization took away the mentality which were simmering in his head, and he changed his life and he changed the way he looks towards his life, and he was so greatly and graciously looked forward towards the life which has offered him the great values. Let's begin with the story. I wish I could have been able to afford a bigger car, a more luxurious one, Rajan said bitterly to himself. The car could barely fit in his wife and 3 grown-up children. So, what happens? Rajan and his family were going to the mall, and suddenly Rajan was thinking to himself in a very bitter manner that he wanted to afford a bigger car, a more luxurious one, because he sees that his wife and his 3 grown-up children could not able to fit in there properly. Hema, his wife, watched him mumble invectives under his breath as he maneuvered the old but dependable Maruti 800 through the crowded street. As they were going through the crowded street, Hema watched him that he was murmuring to himself about his old dependable Maruti 800. They stopped at the mall to buy some groceries. Hema shopped at the cosmetics counter buying lipsticks and perfumes. Then suddenly what happens? Mrs. Verma bumped into the couple. "Hi Hema," she shrilled. "Buying perfumes?" she said, cocking her head at the bottle of spray Hema had chosen. Now Mrs. Verma, friend of Hema, both were bumped into each other and they were purchasing things at the mall. These desi fragrances, I tell you, they are no good. I have mine imported from Europe. You know, genuine stuff. Here, Hema's friend, Mrs. Verma, were suggesting Hema about purchasing of the new perfumes. Hema merely smiled at her more privileged friend. "I make do with these, Malini," she quipped. Rajan bristled with subdued anger. Why couldn't he buy the best for the women who mattered the most to him? Hema, being a very simple woman, she said to Malini, that is Mrs. Verma, that she can easily work with these sort of perfumes. Rajan was standing beside Hema and he was again very much angered to hear such words from Mrs. Verma, and at the same time he was thinking that he could not able to afford the best for the woman who mattered the most to him in his life. Later, lying in bed, Hema sensed his grouchy mood. "Come dear, it's not at all that bad really. We are better off than millions of others who can't afford to eat 2 square meals a day," she reasoned. "We have lovely obedient children and our own little house." After reaching home, Hema saw his husband's mood and told her that the things which she had purchased was not that bad. And she was trying to convince him that we are as a family were better than the millions of the others, those who can't able to afford 2 meals a day. And she was also reasoning that she has everything with her. She has her obedient children, her own little house. Rajan was not convinced. "No matter how hard I work, I'm not able to do the best for you all. You know, Mr. Verma, he got a plum overseas assignment using his wives with the boss, and he's nowhere near me in ability," he complained. So, Rajan was not convinced with Hema, as he was saying that he is one of the hard working person and he could not able to do the best for all of his family, and he was telling about Mr. Verma that he usually got this assignment and he is not particularly have so much ability in his work. They could get their son into that prestigious college and our Rahul could not get through because we could not afford the hefty donation. It's all so unfair. Rajan's frustration came out in a torrent. Rajan again complained that he wanted to have that money so that his son can go to any prestigious college, but he doesn't have. And he is again complaining that he has so much money that Mr. Verma can get his son into the prestigious college, and even his own children who could not get through because of the donation which has been asked by the college, and he was totally dissatisfied with everything. With that, his frustration were coming out in a torrent way. Hema was a wise lady and strived to instill a sense of thankful acceptance of their social and financial status in Rajan's mind, but found it difficult to lift the pall of gloom that clouded her husband's mind. So, from this paragraph, we can understand that Hema was a very wise lady and she wanted to put the sense of being thankful about what you have with you. And he wanted to put this acceptance in the mind of Mr. Rajan. But she could not able to find the particular way how to put in that manner. Actually, Hema's brother Anil was a doctor. Send him in for a routine checkup. Anil told her one day when she poured out her woes to him. I'll try to resolve Rajan's problem, he assured her. So, when Hema was talking to his brother, who was a doctor, he suggested him to resolve the Rajan's problem and told her to tell him to have a routine checkup. And he assured Hema about the problems that she is facing. The next week, Hema was able to send Rajan for the checkup after repeated pleadings. Then, after so much of repeated pleadings, so much suggestions, and so much requesting manner, she was able to send Rajan for the checkup. Hello Rajan, this is Anil here. The doctor called him the next day. Can you come over for a moment, please? It is quite an important matter, he said softly. Then after the Rajan checkup, on the very next day, Anil, the brother of Hema, called him through a phone and asked him to come over to his clinic because he wanted to discuss something very important. What is it, Anil? Queried Rajan alarmed. Is it about the test? Don't worry, Anil responded evenly. It's just a little matter that we need to talk about. Come down this evening, will you? Rajan seemed alarmed and he was asking about the test which has been done by the doctor. And he was continuously asking him about what had happened. But Anil calmly telling him that you should not worry, just we need to talk about certain things. So he said, you can come down in this evening. Can you come like in this manner? The Anil and Rajan were talking with each other. That evening, as Anil showed Rajan some x-rays and told him the diagnosis, that was stunned silence in the clinic. I don't understand, gasped Rajan. What does this really mean? He sputtered. So, herein the Rajan was being shown some of the diagnoses which had happened the previous day. Everybody was very silent in his clinic as Rajan could not understand what has happened and he was really asking Dr. Anil for the same. Rajan, you must be strong. You have a rare blood disorder and with treatment you may have some 4 to 5 years more to live. There is no known cure for this malady and the deterioration is irreversible. Anil spoke quietly, watching Rajan closely. As Anil was trying to tell him about the disease that he had and about his telling him about the treatment that he is going to have, and he told him that he is going to live for not more than 4 to 5 years. But there is no known cure for this particular disease. And at the same time, Anil was speaking very quietly and he was watching him very closely and trying to get what he is explaining to him. The news shocked Rajan. He thought of his family, his wife. They won't be able to take this blow. He thought. Anil, I have only one request, he croaked. Don't ever reveal this to my wife and children. The world changed for Rajan at that instant. Then this particular news has shocked Rajan and he was continuously thinking about his family and his wife. As he was thinking that they are not able to hear this in an instant way. And he requested him that he should not reveal this particular thing to his wife and children. And students, you must have seen how the Rajan's life or world has changed at an instant. The little things that had so far not even noticed mattered a lot now. He began to value each breath that he took, every blessing that he had enjoyed so far without acknowledging it. Rajan no longer craved for a bigger car. He no longer wanted to buy imported perfumes for his wife. His son's career no longer seemed inadequate. His own social and professional status was now gratefully acceptable to him. He no longer complained. He wanted to savor each moment in his life as a precious gift. So, my dear students, the news which Rajan poured into himself, finally he accepted the things which he had. The things which he was complaining for was no more important than the things which he had really wanted to live for it. Everything was being noticed, small little things have been noticed, but the things which he was craving for, like the bigger cars, imported perfumes for his wife, and the career of his son, was no longer seemed inadequate. Everything was very perfect. Then suddenly his social and professional status were greatly acceptable to him. He don't complain at all. He keeps all the movement of his life as a precious gift. Hema was totally amazed at the way Rajan had changed overnight. Anil would not tell her anything. It's a secret, Hema. He chuckled. I'll tell you at an opportune time. This is what he was telling to Hema, that he was not going to tell her the secret which he had shared with the Rajan. And at the same time, Hema was totally amazed to see Rajan in a changed manner. The charade went on for a few months. Why don't you come over to my clinic this evening? Anil called Rajan one day. He had been giving Rajan plain vitamin pills all these days. Now all these things which was happening in the life of Rajan and his family were continued for a few months. Then after some time, Anil, the doctor of Rajan, called him to his clinic, and as far as the medicines that the Rajan was having was just a vitamin pills. Rajan sat there staring stupidly at Anil. You mean that report was a farce? He could barely control his anger and relief. Tears of joy welled up in his eyes. Look, I can't apologize enough for what I have done, Anil said, but this was the only way I could make you realize the value of what you possessed all along but never really appreciated. You changed because suddenly life was very short for you, and the importance of each little blessing became magnified tenfold. That precisely is the trick. Think of life as but a short journey. and you will count each blessing and find contentment in what you have. No lifetime is long enough to accommodate all that one desires. Rajan had literally no words to counter the wisdom in Anil's argument. Students, you must have noticed the reasoning behind the Anil's reactions and the things which he had told to Rajan. In the last paragraph, Rajan got relieved as well as he was in anger, but his tears of joy were welling in his eyes. He was very much relieved with the things which had come into his life in a sudden gesture. Anil was apologetic as he chosen a very difficult manner to give the lesson the Rajan wants. As he wanted Rajan to appreciate the things that he has, he should value the possessions that he really has. And at the same time, Rajan was suddenly changed himself because that he thinks that his life was very short and he started counting his blessings each day because he thought that his life was very short. Rajan could not argue with Anil as his wisdom was very great. He was saying that you should always think a life as a short journey so that you can count each blessing and you will find a satisfaction for the things you have. No lifetime is totally not long enough to have so much desires. And at the last, Rajan had no words to say anything about to Anil. So, my dear students, here I am concluding the chapter 2 of Moral Science for you. I hope you must have understood the chapter well. If you have any queries, you can ask your concerned teacher. Thank you and have a nice day. Stay safe.